never hear me otherwise. Thank you so much for the invitation to address this rally today, and to the amazing volunteers and trades councils for the work they've put into this, the first for 20 or 30 years, depending on who you talk to. A trade union's work is never done, and there are fresh challenges. I think it is important that we celebrate workers today. We should be proud of the great tradition in this city. And in this square, we have the Women of Steel statue, a monument to working class heroes and an emblem of Yorkshire grit. Woo! Only a few years ago, I was stood here listening to Jeremy Corbyn, a socialist who has brought us back to our socialist principles and values. And whilst I'm proud of that, it's not all easy. On Thursday we had local elections and these were tough. We had good candidates who didn't win, but we also had the bittersweet situation of winning under austerity in Sheffield. Let us not forget though that this is the worst result for the Conservative Party in 25 years. Their failure is holding our country back and is punishing people in this city. We shouldn't allow the press to rehabilitate the Lib Dems after what they have allowed to happen to people in Sheffield. They introduced the Trade Union Act. They introduced the gagging law, which is aimed to silence civil society at a time in the worst excess of austerity. They introduced universal credit and they have cut benefits to disabled people in this city. Absolute shame.
Shame on them. Shame on them.
Millions of pounds torn away from services to the most vulnerable. Disgraceful cuts and destroying our NHS with a push to privatisation. The Lib Dems want to take back control of this city and they want to stop shop stewards in their tracks. In this year's budget that they put to full council, they wanted to scrap facility time and take shop stewards out of our great council and all the work that we do there to try and protect workers' rights. They are not left-wing, they are not our friends, they are not on our side. In fact, they are on their side. The bankers, the bosses, the Thatcherites who got us into this mess. I am standing in Hallam. There is a huge number of people in work in the public sector in that seat because they have an ethos of public service and their neighbours rely on those services too. Over the past few months I have met hundreds of people who are fearful about the future. They know austerity is not over and that the times right now are so uncertain. They are seeing millions cut from our local schools, waiting times increasing at their GPs, insecure work for their grandchildren when they used to walk from one job to another. And, worst of all, rising housing costs and no plan or action on climate change. Our jobs rely on our planet and it is so important that we as a movement can face the challenges of alternation and climate change. Climate crisis is going to be an increasing issue for us all, but I have to remind you, only a Labour government has a plan to protect rights at work, promote job insecurity and end austerity. People cannot continue to be left behind. Labour has called a climate and environmental crisis, and a new Green Deal is exactly what we need. But it's a reference to the great moment in American history, Roosevelt's New Deal. But we need to be proud of the achievements of our predecessors, and here we need to embrace the spirit of 45. A proud time in our history where we tackled the giants of that period, created our NHS, built the homes we needed, and built a welfare state that left no one behind. Now today, we are facing new giants, tougher, bigger, and more destructive, but with the same determination to destroy our communities and rip apart our social and environmental fabric. We can transform this country and secure a greener and more secure and socialist future for the next generation. We can see an end to food banks. We can see an end to homelessness. We can invest in our children's future. We can afford to look after our elderly and those in need. Greed has dominated the right-wing politics for too long, and we will challenge and win for the many, not the few.